Our next session, Bright Business, the spectrum of key lighting topics and challenges. We have a tremendous panel for you here. First up, David Weinstein, Vice President of Residential Sales of Lutron, Coopersburg, PA, responsible for developing market and sales growth across residential market segments for all of Lutron's products and solutions. He has worked in the lighting control, shading, and lighting systems business for over 40 years. Before joining Lutron, he was president of Usen Associates, a New England-based manufacturer's representative for lighting and electrical products. He is currently a board member of CEDIA, where he serves as vice chairperson and a board member of HTA, the Home Technology Association. Mr. Weinstein, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Ed. So, wanted to just take a few minutes and talk a little bit about the brand before we get into the panel. I get a few minutes to give you a little overview of Lutron, and specifically, I'm going to talk about this whole emerging opportunity in the category of intelligent lighting solutions. So, the topic today is going to heavily center around the opportunity in the luxury, tip of the spear luxury market segment for digitally addressable illumination systems. And, you know, Lutron acquired Ketra now going on about 3 years ago, which is really a brand that has innovated in the very high performance, digitally addressable, full spectrum illumination system business. So, you know, the whole idea around the new innovation is to deliver the best light, the world's best light. And, you know, we'll talk about different elements, the natural element of it, and how we can basically take the recipe of the outdoor color rendering and color temperature and levels and bring them into interior spaces. We talk about something called vibrancy, which helps to basically enhance certain colors within the lighting spectrum to make textures, colors, artwork, you know, floral arrangements almost look three-dimensional. And then we'll talk about the ability for these lighting systems to perform what I call architainment, the traditional, what everybody thinks about with LED, the RGB, or what we call saturated color. So these new systems give incredible flexibility. And in the case of our brand, you know, all the dimming and control technology is inherent in the fixture or the lamp, so that you now have some economic realities of no dimming panels, lower cost of wiring, and a lot more flexibility in terms of how you design for space and reconfigure space. If you look at our portfolio here, which we've recently and continue to iterate, you know, this is a broad portfolio of high performance illumination products, downlights, lamps, new linear products, and we've actually converged our Avalo brand, which was traditional fixed spectrum LED downlights, which means very good color rendering, very good dimming range, but a fixed color temperature in a 90+ color rendering index spectrum with our full spectrum Ketra. And what we've done now, everything you see in this portfolio dims down to 0.1%. We can match the dimming curves between the Ketra and Avalo, which is very, very important in unifying the look and feel of the space. And again, you also have the ability to design and program using an app as well as control of the app. And you have the ability to tune in up to 16.7 million colors. So, but the most important thing, some of this technology is, or most of it is running in the background, so it's very simple, intuitive, and reliable for your client. So really, the whole message about the opportunity is you can get into this business more deeply with confidence. You've got a very trusted, reliable brand. You have a growing portfolio of products within that brand. You have a simpler design and typology, and you have, again, the best light. And if you noticed, the starting price point for these architectural fixtures is $250 for our Veneri Prime, which is a fixed spectrum product, going all the way up to the Ketra D3, which is really the workhorse of our brand at $950. But the truth to be told, when you look at the install costs of these systems, they're comparable to other architectural solutions. When you look at the fact that you've eliminated dimming panels, wiring, and a lot of other things. Here we go. Flexibility. So the system is flexible in terms of different solutions at different price points to manage the needs of the home, but we also have the ability to do both wired and wireless control solutions. So our Ketra is a wireless solution, which uses a derivative of what we invented in 1997, Clear Connect 2-way RF technology. And then the Feneri brand uses a wired Type X configuration that controls basically a digital hub within the fixture tied to an interface. But again, very, very simple wiring and very, very simple configuration. The Type X hub, that's simply a wireless hub that goes into the home, and each hub can control up to 200 devices. So the control mechanism between the fixture and the system is just wireless technology. It's not internet. It's not internet dependent, so that it's running whether your internet is up or if it happens to go down, you don't ever lose control of your lighting. The other comment I'm going to make is simplicity, where you have basically button-to-bulb performance, and you can control downlights, track, lamps of different configurations, even decorative architectural lighting using Ketra technology. And then in more of the value areas, you can put in the fixed spectrum product. You have a very simple design approach that can meet both a budget and a need in terms of taking care of the client. You know, just in closing, I got one or two more slides. One of the things about the Lutron brand, we invest 10% of our sales revenue in research and development every year. So we're a very innovation-based company. You know, our key metrics are innovation, quality, and service. And we're a brand that you can build your business around. And because of the reliability, because of the innovation, it gives you the opportunity to earn very good margin while giving your customers very good value. So those are the two vectors that, you know, our successful integrators recognize about our brand. So it's a very important element. And what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to turn this over to Tom in a minute, is the whole idea around innovation. And I want you to think about innovation, not just in our products, but what are the ways you can innovate your business, get into new businesses with confidence, and get ahead of the curve, because I can assure you, and Tom will reinforce this, the industry is moving very rapidly toward full spectrum digitally addressable lighting solutions as a standard, especially in this luxury market segment. So it's not a question of if anymore, it's when and how do you get ahead of the curve and take advantage of the opportunity. So, as I said, this is a good opportunity in terms of profit, simplicity, and this is one complete solution. There's many other brands out there that are also in this business that are certainly part of that portfolio that you have to be looking at and understand how to serve the needs of your clients. And our whole message is it's different light, it's the best light, and we want to work with you guys to develop that business together. So with that, I am going to turn things over to my good friend here, Tom Doherty, who's going to serve as moderator, and I think someone's maybe going to share a little background on Tom.
I don't know. Yeah, the mic's on. So, hey, thank you, David. So David's moving over to becoming our panelist here with two other esteemed panelists, Robert Haecker and Terry Thompson, both integrators that I know very well. And, you know, I want to welcome those that got here bright and early this morning. I assume people had some fun last night. And, you know, clearly the lighting category is the fastest growing category within this channel. You know, we started off as being an audio distribution industry to video to surround sound and automation. And, you know, I never would have believed 20 years ago or 15 years ago, I've lost track of time, that I would ever install motorized shades. I just would have never imagined that. But that clearly has become a significant category. And right now, you know, lighting is that. And so that's the purpose of today's discussion, is to talk about an element of this emerging category. So, you know, today with our guests and David, you know, they're going to share and talk about marketing and promoting full spectrum lighting, how to work effectively with the design and luxury builder community, to create and expand the market, and then, the real key thing here is how to create synergies and success with the contractors that are responsible for the installation. I know many integrators nowadays are bringing electrical contracting capability in-house, or they're acquiring electrical contractors, or they're merging with electrical contractors, but clearly electrical contractors are going to remain a component of the things that we're implementing. So we're going to get into that. So I'd like to welcome our panelists, who I mentioned their name. Robert Haecker is the president and founder of TRIPhase Technologies. He's based here in central Indiana. I've known Robert for, I don't know how long, 20, 25 years. They do top work. I've referred a lot of work to them over the years, and for a short period, as I wound down my company, I merged with, or I joined forces with Robert, and I'll take credit for helping him getting into the lighting fixture business. And he's done extremely well. And Terry Thompson is president of Audio Video Resource up in northwestern Washington, the Bellingham area. Terry is someone I've also known for a very long time, and was a very early adopter of Lutron and lighting control systems. So we will have a Q&A period at the end of this session. We'll have an opportunity to ask the panelists. So a quick opening statement, if I haven't already made that, is that this transition of, Lutron really kind of introduced us to the lighting control industry. 1991 in Dallas, 30 years ago, they were on the show floor here. Let me turn my phone off. Pardon me. And so we've been, as an industry, been delivering lighting control now for 3 decades, right? And for the most part, that effort has been, figuring out what the existing lighting fixtures are in the project, and then determining, okay, what do we need hardware-wise to do that? And it was pretty much straightforward that way for the longest time. And there was really very few, if anybody, delivering lighting fixtures or providing lighting design services or any of that. It was just adapting the lighting control system that we convinced our customers or exposed our customers to the convenience of hitting one button, turning all lights off, and having scenes. But what changed was really this transition around 2010 for some people between incandescent and LED. And all of a sudden, that really changed the game, because for the first time, we had technical problems or client dissatisfaction with flickering, poor dimming, what's this color, I miss my incandescent. And so for probably the last 10 years, we're having this kind of rapid change where people in our industry have started to look at, hey, maybe I need to influence what LED fixtures are going to be on this job in some way by telling clients, hey, this works successfully, the contractor's speccing this, that's not going to work, or you're not going to be happy, to the point where now people like Robert and Terry, I'm assuming as well, have started to either get really knowledgeable about lighting and talk about it intelligently and appear to at least be as smart as anybody else on the project team. And then the ability to now demonstrate and show people differences and show them dimming performance or show them what color is. And then ultimately, to be really successful in this channel, you need to have the competence and the capability of delivering a lighting design. And that is either figuring it out and growing it organically, much like I didn't know anything about shades, but soon I learned how to what an inside-outside mount was, what a center draw was, what openness factors were, and measured a few shades, realized I didn't measure them properly, had to have them recut. And so so some people have been organically learning lighting design. Others have gone out and hired professionals to come to work for them, or there are a number of really talented lighting designers that many members have partnered with. Glenn Johnson is a famous lighting designer in the back row here, and he works with a lot of integrators. David Warfel from Light Can Help You is a really effective third party. So not to ramble too much longer here, let me just get right into what we're going to talk about today, okay? So I'm going to start with you, David. What do you believe is driving the growing interest in illumination system design and installation across the CEDIA space?
Thanks, Tom. Good question. Thanks for the kickoff. You know, what's driving the growing interest is the early seeds of awareness where high-value clients are being introduced to not just what people say about this technology, but they're going into very well-designed experience environments. And, you know, in the case of our dealers, many of our dealers, Terry, as an example, has an incredible lighting and illumination and control experience environment. And they're getting to see how what Tom talked about earlier, some of the early challenges of LED, that it was very energy efficient, but the color was terrible and you couldn't dim it very well. Now we're taking all the best elements of incandescent and all the best elements of halogen, and now we're delivering full spectrum control with digitally addressable LED, and we're able to give that interior space an incredible lighting design and application where whether it's downlights or decorative or indirect, whether you're highlighting artwork, whether you're highlighting your walls and want to graze that, the light now opens the hearts and minds of the client to say, oh my God, that is amazing. You know, I now better understand why light is so important to my space. And if we can we're showing people that for an incremental cost per square foot, because you have to do the math, you have to let them understand and what is the value of this versus what they perceive the value is. Once they see the impact of the illumination, you know, and then that job is deployed correctly, that early adopter, which is really where we're at today, tells about 10 people about that. The integrator feels more confident because they did their first job well. The designers that were involved say, oh my God, I'm more confident. So to me, it's all about crawl, walk, and run. If you can show the experience, there's now this relationship between a growing number of clients, luxury builders, specifiers, are now starting to see the value, and they're reaching back toward the integration community who has to do that design, programming, integration, which is something that simple lighting didn't require. So the other point I want to make, the growing awareness is based on the integrators that are now getting into the fold, just like they did with digitally addressable shading as an example, or lighting control, or home theater. You are delivering a specialized solution set because of your skill set that naturally fits into what you do as an integrator to begin with.
Yeah, and and to follow up, you touched on this, but why do you believe the advent of this full, digitally addressable intelligent lighting systems are best served by the custom integrator as opposed to, the electrical contractor or the designer or the architect or the rest of that team? Why do you think that?
It's a great question. And I want to say this. Companies like Lutron that have intentionally decided to market the illumination systems residentially through the integration community, we're not trying to poke the eye of electrical contractors or electrical distributors or lighting showrooms. They're very important parts of our business, frankly, and a lot of our business will continue to throw that way. The simple answer is, no longer is lighting a construction component. It's well beyond that. It's not a nail. It's not a 2x4. It's not a can that you just nail up and connect two wires. It's an intelligent digital solution, and it requires the knowledge and expertise, hardware, software, programming, integration. So those are the skill sets that you all have that other industries just don't have. So it's a natural evolution of what you do as a business.
Yeah, great. So over to you, Robert. As an integrator, and you've been doing this for a number of years now, and you've embraced lighting. You've got a lighting demonstration lab, and so you've learned a lot, bumps and bruises, I'm sure, because this lighting thing is not easy. It's harder than the shade part, which, anyway, not to ramble on. But what are some of the barriers to entry in terms of capitalizing on this emerging and significant opportunity as it relates to your organization or your organization's capabilities, or anything you want to weigh in on that?
Sure. Well, obviously, it's the initial investment. It's substantially more expensive than the conventional systems that people are used to, electricians deploying. It's getting the builder on board with this new technology. to convincing them that it's not just a fad, that something's going to, it's hot now, but it's going to be problematic for them and their client later. It's also the electrical contractor. If you don't have the right electrical or contractor or partner, they're hesitant about this. It's so much different. There's anxiety. So again, making it as easy as you can for them, being a partner that allows everybody on board, just making their job as easy as possible.
Oh, perfect. Hey, Terry, what would you add? Do you have anything to add there? What are your thoughts on, how you've addressed these challenges?
Well, I guess once I had a Ketra demo, I was, shocked that this technology existed, and to me it was a paradigm shift. So I saw this future of tunable white light, and had been experiencing, the wild west of LED, where, like you're talking about, sharp cutoff. What color temperature do you like? You're committed to 3000K forever because you're building an integrated cam, and learning about warm dim. But 2.5 years ago, I built a Ketra showroom, and I started teaching myself about color temperature. And I've been building lighting control systems for 27 years. So had that part down. And our approach is basically a repeatable control that people can learn and move from space to space and turn the lights on in a room. And so after building the Ketra showroom, we started reaching out to architects and designers and bringing them in to show them this technology, because I thought, wow, if I was building a house, I would want to know about this technology, because if I could tune my lights to any color temperature I want any time of the day, that's pretty amazing. And not only that, it does it automatically. So once those people come into the showroom, some people are just as shocked, like, this technology, I had no idea it existed, and I want to get on board. So we just encourage the specifiers, architects, designers, builders, to send their clients in for the same demo, just so that we can teach them about the technology. And at this point, we're not trying to sell anything. We're just saying, this is here, and this is how it can benefit you, and that alone sells itself.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on what I was going to follow up on, which was, what are you doing to create awareness amongst your architects and interior designers? So you've built out a demonstration. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, every single category change in this industry, doing home theater, you needed to build a theater display. To sell shades, you need to show shades in your showroom. To sell lighting, most people with lighting, it's the one category over 30 years that has really not evolved. And what I mean by that is that it's still, for the most part, regardless of the value of the house or the project that you're working on, the lighting is mostly contractor grade or commodity product, regardless of the price of the house, for the most part. And that's just been how the world works. When a client is building a new project, the builder will, they'll go to a kitchen design store, and what they spend on stoves and appliances, even when they don't cook and they go out all the time, they've seen it, they want it. Do you need it? No. What people have in flooring or roofs or driveways or window packages, yet you're going to see the same $50 disc light. And it wasn't until I built my lighting lab that I could, much like getting people to get better video projectors or better sounding speakers, you need to show them a baseline. Do you like this? Do you see the differences on that? It was whatever you want. But they're not going to buy good lighting or buy any of these things unless you can demonstrate it to them. So you built a demonstration lab. I know Robert has built one. Any specific events or strategies or things that you do to leverage leverage that. Robert and Terry, if you can add on to what Robert might say, how you're marketing it.
Sure. We have designer nights where we give full demonstrations on our light lab, on our certified Ketra room. We have specialized builder events just creating awareness. And Tom, you're right. When people can see and experience the differences in light, it's a game changer for sure.
Is there any things that you do different than that, or any other new ideas you want to share with everyone here?
The events are important, and one really great event we do is associated with AIA, American Institute of Architects. Architects are interested in learning units, so we'll get a Lutron speaker to come in and do a small class, and you try to do it in a time of day in the middle of the week when most people will show up. And we do it by appointment, so people, select a time to show up, and we give them multiple choices, so they can't say they can't make it at 4 o'clock. And we cater that with food and make it fun, and then just show people how light can make you feel, because it's not really about a light fixture. There may be a decorative fixture that you want to look at, but light in a space is about creating memories and creating feelings. And when you can control the light in your space in that way to demonstrate it, people walk away with a profound experience, and it's super powerful.
Thank you, David. You cover the whole country. You see hundreds and hundreds of integrators. What strategies and tactics have you seen integrators do to have success?
Yeah. So I'll tack on what Robert and Terry said. Look, this is an experiential product, so you have to connect with the emotional relationship with your client, with the luxury builder, with the specifier. This is about the experience, not what's in the closet. What I want to say is, COVID has challenged the ability to kind of deploy these strategies, because for at least a year it was hard to get people to actually. You couldn't get people to come into showrooms. They weren't. So one of the things I say, what am I seeing? Working locally with our teams and our reps to plan creative market development events, help to get the turnout. Then also working with our integrators. Some of our integrators are still in the phase of building out their experience environments. COVID slowed that. We have world-class facilities in New York City. Austin is our brand new Ketra facility. We have a clean room where we actually show people. We're making the light engines there. We're making the LED thing. We have the ability to do live events where we bring specifiers, luxury builders, our dealer down for a day and a half, or bring them to New York, do that all the time. Or we have the ability to do virtual meetings, at the dealer's location, at the specifier's location. So the element of digital communication now has allowed us to give these storytelling and experiences virtually. And so at the end of the day, today, there's way more opportunities to deliver that awareness and experience education than we ever had before.
Yeah. So I want to get to the operational, the nuts and bolts of some of this now, and what it takes. So Robert, what skill sets does a company need to be successful with digitally addressable intelligent lighting systems beyond knowledge, in terms of capabilities, lighting design in your operation, enhanced CAD, unique project management. I mean, it's clients, it's technologies, it's houses, but this is kind of a curveball, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Obviously having in-house lighting design is critical. Having project management on board, familiar with the process and the product, a sales team that's knowledgeable, really just having this embedded into an organization where everybody is on the same page and familiar with all of that. Early on, we made some big mistakes that we learned from, but over time, as just like anything, as introduction of home theater and speakers, once it's embedded, that's when you really starts benefiting your organization.
Terry, what would you say are some elements of your organization that you think that for maybe people that aren't as far advanced as you, what are some of the things that they need to be thinking about?
Well, you may be working with a lighting designer, or should be working with a lighting designer. You could reach out to other dealers. There's people that are available for mentorship, which is important. You need to at least develop a standard of control. So if you're going to have full spectrum lighting and tunable natural light, there needs to be a light switch on the wall that your client can use every day, and it needs to make sense. And so there's literally 10 billion options on how to program it. So developing a standard of how you're going to do it and then following that standard every time will make you a lot more successful. You'll deploy quicker, and if you get really good at it, you don't even have to interface with the client during the construction process. You turn over a working system that they know they're going to be able to use.
Tom, could I just add?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, Terry reinforced lighting designers are a critical part of the tip of the spear luxury business. And in fact, while many of the jobs you work on every day don't involve lighting designers and may never, a very defined segment of the luxury residential market will always have a lighting designer. And there's an evolution, just like the acceptance of this digital addressable, the convergence between the respect the lighting designer has with their client, your role as an integrator, and then the role of the lighting designer and the integrator and the architect and designer, this team approach that a lot of my lighting designer friends like Glenn talk about. You all have to be at the table. And what I'm going to say is we have to learn to help each other. So lighting designers can benefit by the project opportunities that you're going to expose where you need their services. And then obviously you're going to benefit by their expertise. And they want to help you build the foundational confidence of lighting design. But they do that every day. There's always going to be jobs where lighting design is going to be critical. And my other thing I want to say, the electrical contractor is part of this as well, and we have to make them part of the team and not an adversary that's going to compete against you because they say you're selling the lighting and they're not. There's ways creatively to find team approach to taking care of the client where everybody is winning, and that's really what the object of the game is.
Yeah. So I want to shift gears just ever so slightly. We are talking about digitally addressable, intelligent lighting, and that is a key component of the opportunity that we've covered. But also as a practical matter, not every project, as you're adding lighting fixtures and you're becoming the lighting expert or you're developing a partnership with a talented lighting designer in your market, you're going to be providing, a wide range of fixtures from different manufacturers. Linear and some people are even doing decorative and getting into that. Clearly, exterior landscape lighting is a big part of it. We're just providing lighting control systems for most of our career, and now we are, as an industry, starting to be disruptive by providing the fixtures. So with that in mind, Terry, what do you look for in a lighting manufacturer, fixture manufacturer partner, and in terms of aligning them to expand, this market opportunity in the luxury residential architectural lighting systems?
I'm sorry. So, what am I looking for?
In our world right now, if you're making a decision about an automation partner or your in-wall speaker company or your wire company, what are the attributes that when you're looking, there are hundreds of lighting fixture brands out there, and I find that it's best to do as much business with a few partners that allow you to get the job done for your client, right? And so now what's happening in this industry is the lighting manufacturers are waking up to that this channel is the channel that's going to move contractor-grade fixtures to specification-grade, higher performance stuff at a higher price. And so your phone rings, your reps in your market are now, having multiple lighting lines. They sold you speakers before, and they still do, but hey, I've got this new lighting line. And so as you evaluate that, this is a long explanation of my question, I realize that. So what are the attributes, or do you just pin the tail on the donkey?
No. I care about the light fixture. First and foremost, how well does it dim? As far as the product functionality. Before I worry about who I'm going to be doing business with, a lot of times I'll identify something that I am interested in because maybe it's got changeable lenses for beam spreads and things like that, where I can aim light and do an amazing job on a project, lighting, art, and controlling the space. I care about color temperature, and on top of that, I guess it's nice if it's digital and tunable, if there's tech support that you can get a hold of when you have a problem in a reasonable way, knowing that you kind of know what you're doing and you need tech support when it matters.
Right. Robert, is there anything you would add as your company has evaluated lighting product lines?
Sure. Obviously, quality's first. Best-in-class products. Flexibility, being able, availability, just ease of doing business, and just a great partner, overall. I agree with you, Tom. It's our approach, which you helped us integrate into our business, is doing more business with fewer manufacturers. So just knowing those products inside and out, and but at any rate, quality, flexibility, great partner overall.
So you're going to be able to answer that question or weigh in on this, but with a different question, David. So how can your company and other manufacturers in this intelligent lighting space, what can they do to help integrators gain confidence and skills to promote and sell lighting systems to their high-value clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. So look, any new innovation, and this is a new innovation for the industry, the evolution of illumination and how it's getting deployed, very, very, very new. So first, we all have to reframe our perspective. I like to say crawl, walk, run. So, you got to learn to crawl, and you really learn to crawl well, and that is understand the breadth and offering of the product line, understand the elevator pitch, figure out who in your organization, work with manufacturers that can help you figure out who in your organization, the selling skill set, the design skill set, the programming skill set, the integration skill set, the outreach to the lighting designer community skill set, the market development skill set. You've got to kind of create a portfolio of ingredients that really, whether it's lighting or any new innovation, how are you going to emerge a market that has an opportunity and enable your staff to be confident, skilled, and successful? And my message is you have to have a long-term frame of reference. This is not going to happen in terms of the evolution and shift in 1 week, in 1 month, in 1 year. This is a multi-year dimensional thing. There's opportunities early on, but work with manufacturers that have the resources and the rep organizations that have the resources to sit down with you, do intelligent planning, and build out a plan that addresses all the elements of, the specification element. Who influences the jobs? Do you have the relationships? How do I teach my people to be confident about adopting new ideas and new innovations as a growth opportunity? Are there people in my organization that we're doing this, but now this is a new opportunity and it's a career development situation? The industry as a whole, the beauty of our industry, it's very collaborative. CEDIA is the greatest example of collaboration and sharing ideas. Lutron likes to say, we like to be Switzerland in the business, right? We're a brand leader in categories. We integrate with many companies that decided to compete with us. It's okay, rising tide floats all boats, but collaboration with companies that want to work together to help you decide the best-in-class brands and then curate those brands. So collaboration and cooperation is the key. This is a new business. It's a market expanding business. So long-term vision, find companies and local rep organizations that can give you that support.
So I want you and Robert and Terry, from this standpoint, we asked David, what can manufacturers do to help. But from inside your seat, and you guys have already gone through this. You guys are veterans at this. You have all this knowledge. But to the people that are out here listening, or the people that are going to watch this on a video stream later on, if they're starting out, where do you see the manufacturer's role in helping guide you or give you input, or what resources, blank sheet of paper, what would you have these people out there in the audience that are thinking about getting into this, where should they lean on the vendor, and perhaps what things are they going to have to do themselves?
Well, I would recommend, if you're doing business with Lutron, for instance, reaching out to your local rep. And Lutron has regional employees all over the country that are trained to come in and help you with sales presentations, help with extra training, because you'll obviously, if you're signing up to do this, you have to commit to some certifications and training. And I personally would recommend spending a lot of time with it, because you really have to think about it. It's kind of a mind blow as far as the options. So I'm super passionate about it. I love it. I'm not afraid to call somebody and tell them about it, because I think everybody should have it. And that was kind of what I saw from day one as far as catcher lighting. So I've had a lot of help from Lutron as a manufacturer. And it's not, you kind of take baby steps, and then you call them back and say, hey, I really want you guys to come back again and work with some of our people, and or help one of our sales staff go out and make that call. And because sometimes there's a traveling kit. You can take a light bulb and demonstrate quality light in somebody's office, which is surprisingly effective, because people are busy. They don't have time to come to you, so you go out to them. But just lean on the manufacturer, because their job is to help you sell.
Do you have anything to add there, Robert?
Sure. I mean, training obviously is probably the biggest, and then also a manufacturer that would also reinvest into that integrator. If the integrator is willing to invest in a showroom and displays and those types of investments, then having a manufacturer that would also match that and make that investment, which Lutron does a very good job of that, I must add.
Yeah, great. So this is really probably the crux, quoting Frank Zappa, the crux of the biscuit. One of the big impediments potentially is the head-on relationship with the electrical contractor, and to the degree the builder and everybody else. What are you doing now, and how's this going to work? And we've learned how to do this with electrical contractors, with lighting control systems and such. But this lighting fixture thing is a whole nother thing. And so with that, David, what are your thoughts on ways that integrators can create win-win alliances with electrical contractors who are often on the same jobs and are usually responsible for the lighting system installation and wiring?
Good question. So the first thing I want to say, there's clear disruption strategies that are very difficult to swallow, right? So the traditional supply distribution world, as well as the electrical contractors that have been being the mainstream provider of illumination for 100 years since Tom Edison's invention, are now not directly involved, okay? But Tom mentioned, the head-on. I say indirect approach much better, okay? So look, to an electrical contractor, there's a couple just slight changes in strategy. Instead of it being going to distribution to get their lighting and then buying it and marking it up, the new model with this product, because we only sell this product, by the way, through authorized Lutron qualified dealers and installers. So that's the only way we go to market. So we're not selling this product through electrical distribution. We're not selling it to lighting showrooms. And we're not selling it to non-authorized installers. So it's very committed to the industry. The message is, You all know, I believe, in your market, those of you that do not have electrical contracting or resources within your company, and many integrators do, but for those who don't, you know that electricians that are on the same jobs you're on. My recommendation is don't wait for the first job to have a war over. Develop really good relationships with them. Educate them on the evolution of the business. Get them to understand this is not their grandfather's, downlight with a ground, a neutral, and a hot. It's a very different business, and that ultimately they could create with you win-win relationships where you're both on the jobs together. You're going to be a common message to the client. They're not going to go head-to-head with you. They're going to realize the client's willing to spend fair value for the install cost of these systems, which, by the way, in our case, eliminated the dimming panel, eliminated the local dimmers, eliminated a lot of the circuiting, so there's a little bit of a movement of that cost into the technology. If the contractor figures out that by supporting the evolution of the business, where people want to go once they see it, they can make equal to or more money working with you, and you're going to have to define, every job might be different, how that installer makes money working with you. As long as you keep them whole and they see an increasing amount of business opportunities coming through your funnel, they're going to be very cooperative and want to support you. So I think that's the answer.
Yeah. So clearly, you don't want to make their life harder. It's one thing to get in their pocket, or for them to perceive that you're getting in their pocket. There's another thing to bring new complexity to the job. And electricians want to be in and out, just like builders. So, Robert, let's really get into the nuts and nitty-gritty about this, because, from a practical matter, I mean, what David is saying is aspirational and achievable, okay? But on, the battlefield with your team out there in central Indiana on all these kinds of projects, how have you addressed, because you work on a lot of jobs with the same builder and you've had relationships with these electrical contractors, many of them well, but sometimes you're on jobs and you're working with somebody for the very first time. So there's a wide range of responses. How have you approached this or dealt with it?
Sure. Well, first we very quickly try to build that alliance. Let the electrical contractor know that we're going to make their job easier. We're going to be there for every step of the way. We're going to take out all of the unknowns. Again, a lot of electrical contractors, this is a little bit of anxiety. Is this going to create a lot of extra work? Also, one of the most important things is just making sure that you're taking care of them from a financial standpoint in regards to explaining to the client and to the builder that this could take some extra time, and that suggest maybe a time and material situation rather than a situation where they can lose. I guess creating a situation where they can't lose. And there are times where we will share a part of the profits on fixtures with an electrical contractor. That can be a little bit of a slippery slope, and that's a select group, but we just have to make sure that everybody has opportunity to be profitable on the job.
Do you take the electricians on hunting trips and fishing trips and make them feel better about themselves?
That has been part of the equation as well. But
right. So Terry, up in your market, how have you dealt with your encroachment of fixtures in their reality?
Well, I like Robert's idea or your idea to send them on a trip somewhere to make them happy about how things are going. It's really about communication, making sure they understand what's going on, because like Robert said, if they're charging like a fixed price per can to go in and be in and out, and suddenly they're confused and they need help and it's taking longer, making sure that the client understands that, hey, you can work on a price per square foot or time and materials, because this job has to be done properly and people need to get paid for their time. And most people are reasonable at the beginning of the project about paying for the time it takes to build, especially a custom home, a one-off that much easier to build the second time, but the first time takes twice as long. So, but you know, I work on a lot of I work in a lot of different areas, different states. So I've worked with all kinds of different electrical contractors, and I've really, you know, I have a relationship with the client. By the time I go in, I've spent, you know, 20 hours, you know, selling the system because it's something different and new that, you know, people are excited about. So there's not a competition on who's supplying what. It's just more about getting the job done efficiently and everybody getting paid.
Well, great. So, I mean, we're kind of winding down here. I don't know that we need. I'd like to leave some room instead of me rambling or other closing thoughts here. We have a few minutes. There's a mic. Don't feel compelled that you have to ask a question, but if you do, get up there and ask the question of the panelists. And if not, you know, we'll close and you can go on to your next thing. Here it comes.
Quick question. So as you all have established already good working relationships with lighting designers, for other individuals in a given area, what recommendations would you have for how they can find and solicit the services of a lighting designer as a partner with them if they don't want to build it up integrally within their own organization?
Yeah, great question. I'm sure everybody heard that, but yeah, how do you do that?
Well, we were fortunate enough to have Tom and his daughter Ellie in. You know, we started in the business with them joining our organization, so we were a bit spoiled in that regard. I really don't have a lot of insight on working with outside designers. How about you?
And just to be clear here, Indiana, there aren't really any lighting designers that practice in the residential space. Most lighting designers in this market work primarily on commercial, that skill set. So, you know, we're moving people from a commodity can that's been laid out by a grid, and usually most lighting in Indiana is done during a walkthrough with a spray paint can while it's like 20 below and there's framing going on. So Terry, you're in a market where there are lighting designers. And so, you know, why don't you comment on that?
Well, I understand there's a CEDIA member now that's doing lighting design, and he bases it on a price per square foot, and they do a Zoom meeting, and we'll work with the client and, you know, find out what kind of lighting works best for them, and they do renderings and sketches that show illumination in the space, and it's really like how.
Yeah, you're referring to Light Can Help You, and there are other companies that are starting to address this. David, you know, you travel the country.
Sure.
You're in every market. What do you see?
So number one, the ratio of the number of lighting designers that do incredible work versus the number of projects, there's a very small amount of well-established, reputable, highly thought of lighting designers in the world that have incredible relationships with architects, designers, clients, luxury builders. But the good news is, you know, there's not 1,000. There's maybe 100 or 150 or 200. But here's the thing. Work with manufacturers that also have a relationship with those lighting designers and the integrators that can make those connections, right? And, you know, it's kind of like an interview process. I know of several great lighting designers. I feel good that we have good relationships. We would introduce you to those lighting designers, and then you would figure out what are your needs. I will tell you this, many lighting designers see the opportunity to expand their business by working with you guys to create more opportunities together, and they're perfectly willing to teach you skill sets, not to give away their intellectual property, because they don't want to do that, but to give you the confidence to do, you know, more and more work, more and more repeatable work, and then you're going to recognize that for certain clients and certain projects, you're going to absolutely need the skill sets of a lighting designer. So we can help, companies like Lutron can help introduce you with lighting designers in your area that we think would be good to work with you, for sure.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
go ahead.
To add on that, David Werfel, I know that he does work. I have some acquaintances that own integration companies, just like, you know, they don't have in-house lighting design, but they have used him in the past, and I think it's been successful as well. And they, you know, so be a good option for you.
Yeah, yes. Anybody else? Or are we gonna wrap this dog and pony show up? Eric, can you tell a joke or no? Okay. Well, look, I hope this was valuable to the people that heard it, and specifically to the people that will be tuning in and watching this stream. And all of these people are accessible. Well, clearly, David or myself, feel free to email me or contact me or David for any kind of questions we see. I guess here's my closing point. This lighting fixture opportunity has allowed our industry to be brought back up to being exposed to projects sooner. I'll tell this very quick, brief story. When I started in this business 30-some years ago, I could barely explain to my father-in-law what I did. Okay, and then it was I explained it to a builder, and I've got a client that would love speakers throughout their house. We're framing it, blah blah. When do you need me? Well, tomorrow, because the sheetrock's going up. It's 1985. Later on, the awareness started happening with what our industry was doing, and that builder would call, hey, I need to talk to you. I got this project. Oh, great. Do you need me to wire it tomorrow? No. They want a home theater. We haven't even dug the hole yet. We want to know what the dimensions should be of the room. Oh, wow. And so for a good long time, this industry has had the benefit of awareness and planning and being brought in. What I have observed over the last decade is that the industry, clients, builders have been kind of numb to the overall audio, video, home automation integration thing, to the point where, yeah, we're going to look at that, and, hey, I heard you're building a new project. Yeah, we're working on that. We're designing it right now. We kind of already know what the theater wants, and so on and so forth. We're going to get to you. The client wants to go to the kitchen showroom up in Chicago and pick out a stove that she'll never use, and that sort of thing. And and so we were starting to see being kind of brought in late in the game, later and later, not early and earlier, with lighting and being able to create awareness of what's possible and demoing it. People get excited. And they realize that, hey, I need to figure out this electrical plan really soon, maybe before the permit's set. And so by having demonstration, being able to talk about it competently, getting jobs under your belt successfully, you are now being called, and I know Robert saw this, the builder is calling and saying, hey, here's a set of plans, we need a lighting plan. And when you are working with the client and you're developing the lighting and you're involved in that, then ultimately you've been working with them for a period of time, they trust you, and it's like, yeah, let's start talking about the AV integration network, camera, blah, 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 and they're not motivated to go out and talk to anybody and get another bid or price because they trust you. So that's the biggest opportunity. That's why this lighting category is growing and why I'm bullish on this. So we'll leave it at that. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the flip side.